Thank you.
Thank you. So in BW, SAP BW system, generally we have one more menu here called modeling. Okay, so now in SAP BW for HANA, what they did is they removed this modeling options, and all the modeling what we have to do can be done in HANA Studio itself, and it is the most simplified way of modeling. So in general, whatever the time you have taken for developing in SAP BW, it has been reduced, which means like if you want to develop something in SAP BW, it will take around 4 to 5 months, but here you can develop that within 3 months or 2 months. Okay, so
Okay. Yeah.
everything has been, all the objects has been reduced. So for example, in our SAP BW systems, we had around 10 objects if you want to do development, but here
Yeah.
all these 10 objects has been reduced to only 4 objects. So for example, multi-provider. So multi-provider was generally used for doing union, and InfoSet is used for doing join, and composite provider, virtual provider, and transcend provider. So now all this has been replaced by com composite provider, OpenODs, and advanced DSO. So previously, when we have a persistent data layers, we'll have info cubes, data store object, and then hybrid provider, PSA tables. So now all these things has been replaced by advanced data store object. So this particular object can, can suffice all the uses that it can be done by these objects, and then info object is still an info object. Okay. So let me know if I'm going fast.
No, that's fine. So far, so good. Yeah.
Okay. So this is our BW for HANA system, where we will have uh, 3 nodes. One is favorites, and then BW repository, and then the data source. So under data source, basically we will have all the source system that is connected to our BW systems, BW for HANA system. And under BW repository, we will have all the objects that has been developed in this particular BW for HANA system. So in today's class, I'll just take you through how to extract the data from the Excel flat file source systems. So
Sure.
I have a flat file source system called product. So basically, if you remember, the data has been divided not only in SAP, in any kind of ERP tools. The data is divided into 2 types. One is master data, and the other one is transactional data. So
Yeah.
I have here again, the master data is again divided into 3 types. One is master data attribute, master data text, and then the hierarchy. And then transactional data is just transactional data. So today I will take you through something called product master data. So it's not product master data. I'll take you through how to just load an Excel data into our BW systems. So we have something called a data source, under which we have a source system called flat file source system. So here already we have a lot of systems, and you can use any of the flat file system that is available. So let me use this particular flat file source system. And first, in order to extract any data from any source systems, you need something called extractors. Okay, so extractors technical name is nothing but the data source. So if you want to extract a particular data from any of the source systems, you have to create a data source. So let me create a data source under this flat file source systems. So here we don't have to choose anything. It is just the system name, and this is the source system which we are using. And the source system type is flat file source. It's a file source system, which is flat file.
Yeah.
Go to next, and here if you want to use any templates, you can use any template. Whatever the templates you want to use here, you can use it. But as of now, I'll go with none, and then let's go to next, and we will choose the application component. See here we have a lot of branches until this, means below this, which is nothing but the application component. So application
Right.
component is just like a folder. If you want to create your own application component, you can create it under this, and you can use it for your purpose, your requirements. Okay, so let me choose any one of these requirements. Let's go for that and just home. So let me give the name. So in SAP, it's always like the alphabets from A to X is actually reserved one, which will be used by standard objects, whereas Y and Z is the only one which we can use it for any kind of technical names which we are going to develop. Okay, so in my case, in our case, like I am going to create an object name, means data source with the name starting with that data source underscore product attribute. So you have to give, this is the technical name. So once you give the technical name, you cannot change it later on. Okay, so only the description has to be, can be changed later on. So if you are giving technical name, it should be meaningful, and make sure you are following all the naming convention, everything whenever you are doing some developments. Okay, so and here, as I told you already, the data are of three types. Okay, actually four types, three types: master data attributes, text, and then the hierarchies. So all these three are master data: attributes, text, and then hierarchies. All three are master
Mhm.
data, whereas transactional data is only one. So as of now, I'm creating an attribute. So I prefer master data attributes.
Mhm.
And here we have, so we have, this is a kind of data source where we'll have three tabs. One is overview, and here we don't have anything to check or change anything. So let us leave it as it is and go to abstraction. So in the abstractions, so we have something called adapter. And as we are going to load the flat file, we have to choose the flat file adapter. Apart from flat file, we have other options. So going forward in future, I will tell you what is the purpose of other adapters. So today I will take you through the Excel file. Okay, and as soon as you change the adapter, see here, previously it was text file type, and it is showing this kind of setup under adapter specific properties. But when I choose the flat file, it is, this particular thing is getting changed.
Mhm.
So here I have to choose my flat file. So my flat file is product. I choose this. Okay. And in that, if you remember, I have four sheets under this, and I want to choose one. I want to choose which particular sheet I want to extract. So here I want to extract product attribute, and then in the same sheet we have a header as well as data. So
Mhm.
I should always ignore the header line. Okay.
Yeah.
And here, like if I want to extract the data from the source, and if I want to load it into our BW system, I need some table to load it into the BW system, right? So apart from that, this particular data source should also have all the structure. Means when I say structure, it is the table column names. Okay, so it's here. If you go to the fields, that's it. Whatever you have to do here is done, and go to fields. Here, as of now, we don't have any fields. Okay, and if you want to add any fields manually, you can add it. You can add it just like that. Add field and give the names and then descriptions, whatever you want to give. But I don't want to do that. It is like a time-consuming process. Okay, so
Yeah.
in the extraction, we have something called derive fields from file, which means if I click on this particular option, it will derive the field names and its data types. What is the length of that particular field name? So everything will be derived from the file which I have chose here. Okay, so
Mhm.
once you click on this, it will pop up this particular skin. Keep on clicking next. So if you see here, these are all the fields that will be auto generated. So product ID, PG ID, and then the currency and price. So which is there in this Excel sheet: product ID, PG ID, currency, and then the price. Even the data type and then length will be auto decided. So if you see character 5, when I say character 5, it is like the maximum. So it will check all the data in this. So whichever has the maximum length, it will take that particular length. Okay.
Mhm.
So it is similarly for other things also. So if for price it took automatically decimal 7.2, 17 comma 2, 17 comma 2. Okay, so it depends upon the value which is available in this. So it will be auto generated and then finish. And if you go here, it see here all the generated fields has been created automatically, and then you can activate this particular data source. Now this is just an extractor, okay? And if you want to, this is just an extractor used to extract the data, okay? It's just like a placeholder where the file is there, all those things, all the details will be there in the extractor. And now we have just generated the fields for that particular flat file system. And as of now, only fields are there. There is no data extracted as of now. So if I want to extract the data and store it in some particular uh, table, let's say, I have to create some object called ADSO, which is nothing but advanced DSO. In classical BW system, we had something called DSOs. The DSOs of like three types: standard DSOs, right optimized DSOs, and then direct update DSOs. Now all those objects are replaced by only one object, which is nothing but advanced DSOs. Okay, so let me create one of the DSO here. Just I want to show you how to load and then load the data from the flat file and store it into the BW system. So in order to do that, I'm just going to create one object called ADSO. Let me create an ADSO under this. You can choose any folders here, and if otherwise if you want to create your own folders, so let me create own folder for you. So this can you tell your spell your name? Is it Azad?
ASAD.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So this is when I say folder, it's actually the technical name of this folder is nothing but info area. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is our info area I have created for you. So once you get access to the system, you for your practice purpose, you can create your own area, or you can create what are the objects you want to create under this particular info area. Okay. I'm going to create one of the ADSOs here. So let's name it Zachary Toad. So this naming convention we have to follow strictly in SAP BW system, which will help us to design the security roles and all. Okay, so I will tell you that during the post training. Right now, let me create one of the areas of zero product, and it should be of length 3 to 9. It should not go beyond that. If it goes, the technical name should always be within the length of 3 to 9. It should not go beyond that. If it goes beyond that, you cannot activate that particular object. This is only for ADSO, I mean. Even for info objects, it is the same. And here, when I create an ADSO, it's not necessary I have to initiate and then add info object. Here, I can use the templates. Let's say I want to store the data sources data, which is already I have created. So I can use the data source template, which will save the time for me to develop that data source underscore product underscore ATTR. So it's created, finish. So now this is my ADSO. Okay, and here I have a lot of properties. Okay, I will come to the properties later on. And here, whatever the fields I have added as part of this ADSOs, all these fields has came here. Okay.
Yeah.
And generally, these are all the properties. I will take you through 1, 2, 3 properties today. So this is the classical object. When I say classical objects, it's like a standard data store object, right optimized, and then the direct admit object. So if you want this particular ADSO to behave as a standard data source object, you have to click, you have to check active data box and write changelog data box. So if you want to check this checkbox, you can double click on this template. So here we have a model template, and these are all the properties. If I double click on this, these two checkboxes will get checked, which means this particular ADSO is going to behave as a standard ADSO. And what are all the differences? Why do we need this kind of ADSOs? What are all the differences between these ADSOs? So those things we will go in detail during our courses. Okay. So
Yeah.
as of now, I have made this particular ADSO as a standard ADSO. Okay, so let us keep it as simple. Let us maintain right optimized ADSO, which is a simple ADSO, and then we can activate it. Yes, not consistent guarantee, invalid conversion, exit. So this is throwing some errors for this particular piece. So let me remove this conversion set. Let me change it to characters. Then the three. So if sometimes the auto-generated field names will not suffice our requirement, so you can modify here and you can activate it. So here see, we have this particular thing got activated. So field price is not visible in reporting. So these values are all we can ignore. Okay, otherwise we can, while taking the class I will tell you how can ignore all those warnings. So as of now our ADSO is setup is ready. Okay, and then I have to do a mapping between this data source and then this particular product. Means from which field to which field the data has to get loaded. Okay, so I will create a transformation to do this. So our source is a data source. Okay, I will choose the data source. Browse ZDS product underscore ADTR. So this is our source. Finish. So nothing here we have something called routines and all. So this belongs to this particularly comes under ABAP things. So I will be taking you through ABAP as well, means SAP BW related ABAPs during our trainings. And see here, as the fields are matching here, it got automatically mapped, and then I can activate. This transformation is just to tell the system that the data from this particular field in the source should go to this field in the source. Okay, so without this mapping, we cannot do the data load properly. And then I'm going to create one more object, something called data transfer process. So this is an object which will be executed to extract the data from the source and load it into our target object. Activate this, close this system. So here is the option to execute. Execute. So I will show you the schedule. Let it get loaded in the backend. So it takes some time to load the data. So this is our schedule. So one minute. I will take you somewhere else. So this is our schedule. So if you see, these are all the topics which we'll be covering as part of this training. This is nothing but evolution of SAP BW for HANA landscape, an overview of SAP HANA Studio, and all the SAP has its own standard architecture. It was previously LSA architecture and now it is updated to LSA++ architecture. And then what is the difference between BW on or BW? So whatever the difference, as you have experience on SAP BW, I will teach you what is the difference between SAP BW and then BW for HANA. Okay, and So I will take you through all the modeling things, what are all the objects we have in our systems. So after that, we will start our modeling from here. So this is where our objects links development starts. So if you remember, info object is the basic building block for any development in SAP BW systems. So we will start with the creation of info objects, info area, and then info object catalog, and what is the master data, what are the classification of master data, and then what is the area source and what is the difference between info objects and area source. And whenever we create an area source, there will be a tables that will be created in the backend, and what is the functionality of those tables and all. And then we will start with the flat file data load extraction. So when I say flat file, it is like we will do flat file data load for master data as well as the transactional data. And within the BW system, we have different layers. When I said LSA++ architecture, it has different layers like the staging layer, transformation layer, and then reporting layer. So we will take you through all those layers and all. And so these are all the things, like we have master data attribute text load into area source, info object as info provider, and then flat file transactional data load, and then routines. So this is where the ABAP comes in. So I will be teaching you the ABAPs related to, if you are good at programming, it will be well and good, and it will be easy for me to teach you. So the otherwise also we can learn. It will take just 1 or 2 weeks to cover these ABAP routines and all. And then we have something called composite provider, which is the reporting layers. And then this is just until here we are seeing about the flat file load. And apart from that, we have also standard contents and customized objects in our BW system. So we will be installing those standard contents of some data sources, like finance data source, example, FIAP, account payable, account receivable, and then the general ledgers. So apart from the standard content, we will also be creating some customized objects, and we will take you through that. And there is something called foreign exchange rates, which will be coming from this, from the ERP systems to BW systems, and then open up destination. So this is one of the particular object which is used to push the data from BW system to any other systems, means outside systems. Okay, and then we also still use the query designing. Maybe in SAP BW you are using Bex Query Designer now, though everything can be designed, means the query designing can be done in HANA Studio itself. Okay, so apart from that, there is something called unique, which is different from the classical BW system, is calculation views. Okay, so here in our BW systems, means SAP BW for HANA system, we have something called HANA system as well. So here data load is completed. So we have something called HANA system. So this HANA system, under this HANA system, you can create some calculation views. Okay, I will take you through the calculation views in our future classes. So these are all the things that comes under as part of calculation views. Okay, and then also I have a tool called analysis for office, which is a reporting tool. So I will be, do you have experience on analysis for office as well? Azad? Azad? Hello? Azad? Azad, are you online?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Yes, I have experience with the analysis for Office. Yeah.
So yeah, so that also will be showing you here, and its functionality. And at the end, how are we going to automate the data loads using the process chains? So this is our syllabus. We will be taking you through all these things.
So, Arul, how long it's going to take?
See,
Is there,
is for
is
40,
there, yeah.
the class is for 40 hours. So it
Okay.
depends upon you. If you want to complete it within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we can complete it. If you want us to take it for 2 months, that is also well and good for us. So it depends on you. So whatever the timing you need, and if you want us to complete within a month, yes, we are good to complete it within a month on the week. So I hear that you want weekend classes. So in every weekend, so maybe on Saturday and Sunday, we can sit and work for 3 hours or 4 hours continuously per day. So it's up to you how
Yeah, of course, that's what I was thinking, to fast track the course. Since most of the things I already know, I have experience with it, so I just want to fill in the gaps in my knowledge,
yes,
the
yes.
new technology.
So it's
Yeah.
up to your flexibility. So however you are okay with, we will take the classes accordingly. So
Okay, awesome. Okay. And for that, I need to speak to
Yes,
Indu, right?
yes, exactly.
Okay, okay.
So this is the data load. It got loaded. We can check the data. So here it is loaded, and we have a menu. Go and see the new data. So it got loaded. So whatever is there in the source system, it got loaded into our BW system. So this is our staging layer, basically, which is the first layer of LSA++ architecture. And
Yeah.
from here on, you can take it up to further layers if needed. Okay, so this is all about our demonstration today. So, do you have any questions for me?